Let's go ahead and jump into it. Hello, everyone. My name is Anastasia Bonholzer. I am a mortgage broker and an affiliate with PVPAR. I'm with AMS Mortgage Services, and I'm so happy for today's Food for Thought class. It was something that I'm proud to announce Rina Mora, who's with the Chamber of Commerce with me in Redondo Beach. And when I met her, I just immediately was drawn to her enthusiasm for making businesses more efficient. And that's exactly my motto every day is, how can I work less and still make more money with the time that we're given in the day? And so, without further ado, we'll go ahead and start. I'll introduce Rena, and then, I'll ask her a few questions, and then we'll see how this goes. Today's topic is near and dear to my heart. It's real estate is really tough, and we all deal with rejection daily. I think more rejection than any standard business. And so today's topic and the information we're here to share hopefully will help somebody on the call and beyond on how can you use Rena and her services, or perhaps the mindset that you develop through hearing this conversation. So Rina Mora is a business systems and growth architect and the founder of the Tiny but Mighty Coaching. With a bold, results driven approach, she helps service-based business owners eliminate inefficiencies, clarify their vision, and implement repeatable systems that support both stability and expansion. Named South Bay's favorite small business consultant from 2022 to the present, 2025, Rena blends strategic insight and accountability to help leaders achieve operational clarity, consistent execution, and the freedom to focus on what really drives real growth. When leaders are ready to stop operating in reaction mode and start scaling with intention, they turn to Rena to architect the systems that bring clarity, control, and sustainable growth. I love all of that. I love all of that and more. And so, Rena, thank you for being here with us today. Tell me kind of like why coaching? How did you get into this business, and like just why? Like why would somebody need a coach? Because I know, like, even the billionaires of the world have coaches, so definitely even they need it. So why would somebody who's not a billionaire need one?
So, why coaching? It's a funny story. I fell into coaching. I started my first business in my mid 20s, and I started as a referral-based business, and I was working with a lot of other business owners. And I am very systems driven anyways. I'm OCD, need to know what the end game is. I deconstruct. I like to know like what's the next step for everything. And in my previous business, I had a lot of clients that were business owners and would naturally notice that throughout our conversations, we would just get into business and how I create my time and task management. And then when COVID hit, I decided that I was going to retire the practice I had. I was in the trades and I didn't know what I was going to do. And somebody asked me point blank, they're like, why aren't you going into business coaching? This is your jam. This is what you do. I became a life coach first because I really enjoy helping people through their challenges. That just wasn't doing it for me. It was
Mhm.
too foo-foo, too fluffy. And I really like getting into the nitty-gritty. And I
Yeah,
realized that my zone of genius when it comes to business is all the unsexy things that nobody else wants to do, like figuring out the operational systems and what comes next. And then how do I stay accountable? How do I get everything out of my head so my business isn't dependent on me?
yeah,
And through the systems that I create and the way that my mind works and how I work and I geek out on it, it just became a natural place for me to place myself in the business consulting arena. And what I find is the reason we need coaches is for several reasons. Number one is it is very helpful to have somebody to speak out loud to. Being able to say something out loud and really hear what you're saying gives you that aha moment. And then to have
Mhm.
somebody that isn't personally involved with you, that's going to look at it from that 30,000 foot view and ask the questions, okay, so why are we doing that? What is the desired outcome? What's the point? What's the focus?
So you mean my mom can't be my coach?
So your mom
Yeah, I know, I
cannot
get
be
it.
your coach.
'Cause then they love you no matter what. And it's harder to also take constructive criticism from a loved one as well. And so I really like that, that you say it's a third party, independent of the business, and you have experience with the business. I think what most realtors struggle with is typically it's a second career or a third career for most realtors. And so they may have come from a world in which they never had the capacity or the ability to be an actual engineer of their day and to be a business owner. You know, they had a boss. The boss told them to show up at 8 in the morning. They had certain meetings they had to attend throughout the day. So it was easier to plug and play the tasks needed because the company essentially would create, a plan, a daily task list, what meetings to do, what not to do, what time to eat lunch, what time to go to the bathroom. Like it's really micromanaged for you to such a degree that when somebody is essentially dropped into this world of real estate, a lot of the times, especially because of COVID, now we're all remote. We have to be very efficient with the time we have. And so, just generally speaking, if somebody wakes up in the morning and they don't know what they're doing in the day because they're in real estate and they hope somebody would call and becomes a reactive business in that sense. What can one do to kind of restructure their day? What would be some of the most basic tips to not be reactive in this business?
So when you think about, any business and it's specifically real estate, it really is about having those conversations and that client acquisition. So if you aren't having a showing or meeting with somebody, what are the activities that need to get done to one, keep your business rolling? Like those business acumen, what do you need to do to keep the lights on? And one of that is client acquisition. So what are the activities that you want to sharpen and focus on to make sure that you are getting in front of your clients and people are starting to understand who you are? And someone like yourself, we have kids, we have other responsibilities. So I'm a really firm believer in reviewing your calendar the night before. Know exactly where your free time is, if you have free time, and are those activities really priorities to get the needle moving in the direction you want? Or are they things that somebody told you you should be doing, and maybe your business isn't ready for that step yet? So you want to make
Mhm,
sure that what you're focusing on really is the priority of what you're trying to achieve right now.
mhm.
And
How does one not overwhelm themselves with the task lists that are created the night before? And it seems like, at least that's what I deal with personally. You have almost too many things to get done in one day. And how do we scale back and implement a strategy where we only focus on maybe the top three that are most important and get those done first? I heard that's something that I heard is effective. Or what else do you think,
yes,
one can do to not overwhelm themselves with the to-do lists?
something I've learned over the years is when we give ourselves a to-do list, we're very it's about the end game, right? I need to make these calls. I need to, set my post. So it's really about thinking about what are the subtasks that live within those tasks. So if you are, if you're preparing for an open house, who do you want there? You want to think about all the steps you need to take before you actually get to that desired outcome of completing that task. And when you know how long things take you and in what order they need to happen or how much you can do at once, it makes it easier for you not to overwhelm yourself by trying to do it all in one day. Can you do
Mhm,
some of this on Monday? Can you do another part of that big task on Wednesday? And can you break it up into smaller time time blocks so
mhm,
that you are getting the things done, you're moving the needle, but you are not overwhelming yourself and overfilling your plate so that you can't get it done. Because there are going to be tasks that maybe don't need to really get done until the end. And you are now overwhelmed with the thought of, I have to do all of this. It's going to take me 2 hours. I have 30 minutes.
Uh, yeah, no, I love that. And so, you know, and marketing being an important system in the business, what does it actually mean in the real life for a realtor? How would one market themselves to get the clients they want?
So, marketing system is one of my most popular and favorite systems to work on because first you need to understand what your marketing system is. Your marketing isn't just your outreach. It is your marketing message is the foundation, the backbone of your marketing system. And that is who you are, what are the pains that you are bringing the solutions to. So creating that messaging, niching for now, not, in your industry, you're agnostic. You can work with anybody. When it comes to your marketing system, what ball do you want to get rolling right now is what you focus on. So if you're focusing on, I really want to build my new family clientele. So your messaging really wants to be directed to them. And then where do you find them? Are you going to be going to networking groups? Are you going to be doing social media? Are you paying for ads? Where does that land? And then deciding really how much of that you can do per day, remembering that there's going to be a follow-up that happens with that. And then,
Mhm.
as you get in deeper, then there's the discovery and the close of the sale and actually working with your client. But so those are all live within your marketing system, and not
Mhm.
everything gets focused on at once.
Yeah, I love that. No, thank you for that. That makes sense. Um, and then going to the actual meat of the subject here is what are some of the signs that your message isn't landing? Let's say you're talking to customers, you're talking to consumers, and maybe deep inside your soul, you're just like not connecting with the person either on the other side of the line, or if it's somebody's trying to reach through social media or even in person, you're just not connecting. What do you think? How can we fix that? Because sometimes that happens.
Absolutely. And the first thing is, are you talking to the right person? Are you addressing that person's needs? And if you're not sure, be okay asking questions. People love to talk. So you should not feel like you have to come to that call with all the answers because you don't know what answers they're looking for. So being able to have the questions that you need. So think about what is it that I need to learn from them before I can share what they need to know from me,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
really understanding as if you are speaking to more people, if they're in your demographic, you will naturally have that library of needs that this demographic is looking for. So then as you get more versed, you're able to bring that to the surface first. Is this something that's important to you?
How would a realtor keep their message natural and confident without being scripted? Because a lot of realtors do use scripts, and scripting is such a popular way now to get ahead in the game. And just, if there's this objection, you use this script. And now it feels almost like unnatural and AI-like because it's not no longer genuine in the response. So how would one keep it fresh and confident without sounding scripted?
So it's going to sound silly, but it really does work. I love scripts, and I think that we all should start with a script, learn the script, and then make it your own. Would I really say that? How would I say this? And learn it in your language, learn it in the way that you present yourself. And it really should be something that rolls off your tongue like, this is the salt, this is the pepper, this is what I do. So the more you practice, like trying to wing it on the spot and remember that script is where we get tripped up because then we sound like everybody else. We're very generic instead of being
Yeah.
able to own your script. What is the message?
Would that be where like a life or like a business coach comes in handy, as then you can do some role playing at that point in time, or role playing with another realtor friend before getting into the real life scenarios of a real person?
Absolutely. A coach is great for role playing because they're going to be able to say, you want somebody that can look at you and go, you did this and it was weird. And if I was listening to you, I'd be like, I'm not sure that landed. And you can use anyone, utilize other agents so that they can say, that just kind of felt a little off or it didn't feel genuine. The key is practice and practice in front of the mirror,
Hmm, hmm.
which is
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
challenging. But once you
Yeah.
can do it with comfort in front of the mirror, in front of your biggest critic, you got it.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. And I think I've definitely done that through the years, especially when starting out. My next follow-up to that is it's very hard when starting out, when you don't have the confidence yet because you lack the experience, to allow the person to talk and you just kind of zip it, you know. So, what would be some of the tips that you could give some realtors who have an issue with maybe over elaborating or talking too much or talking over their customers and not really, wanting to get their message across rather than listening to their problems or what the actual purpose is for the interaction?
Well, I would say first, if you aren't listening to your client, your prospect, you're going to lose them. Because again, we're human. Everybody wants to be seen, heard, and understood. And if you are listening to respond, you are really missing out on what is being said verbally and either tonality or body language. The more you can pay attention to what that person is saying and react from there, give them feedback that way, you will come out uh feeling you look more confident because you're not selling the journey, you're selling the destination. And in order for
Mhm,
you to know what that destination is, you need to ask the right questions. And the first one to speak, like we want to learn to be cool, calm, and collected. We want the lean back factor. We want them to
mhm,
lean into us. So if you're
mhm.
leaning into them and vomiting on them, you lose them.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yeah, it becomes the you show, not the them show.
Right. And so if the initial interaction went well, I think what I've seen a realtor struggle with is the follow-up. It's like you think everything went so well. You went to the listing presentation and you're like, they love me, they're gonna sign with me. And then a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, and it's crickets. You know, what is a good way to follow up with somebody where it doesn't sound desperate? You bring something perhaps of value in the second interaction. What can one do to reel the client back where you think you did well on the first interaction and yet here you are without a client?
This is really very, very important. And you want to take notes. The minute that person walks away from you, what were the key things that they said to you? Did they say they're a big baseball fan? Did they say they just came from a concert? Were they wearing something or, just really take notes about what they said. So when you follow up, it's not like, oh, hey, I found that house, I found the specs that you're looking for. I enjoyed the conversation. Connect to them, make it feel human, and then refer to something that they shared about their needs during that interaction. I want to make sure I got everything correct. This is what you're looking for. This is what you don't want. Would you be open to me sending you more information? Get the okay, get the permission, and keep it
Mhm.
light. It's like you're reaching out to your friend. That is what's going to build that relationship.
How does one stay confident after a deal falls apart or a client ends up choosing somebody else? And I know that happens almost on a daily basis with all of us, in any industry. I think it's universal. How does one deal with the rejection of knowing that maybe you're not good enough or I'm not good enough, and they end up choosing somebody else who we thought was not as good as us, and etc. How can one overcome that mental and emotional hurdle?
So we're
Um,
all human. We're all going to react. The initial reaction is, what did I do? What is it about me? And those are, don't take it personally because we never know what that connection is. The other thing is ask the questions of yourself. If I could go back to those conversations, what would I have done differently? What is it about that agent that may have persuaded them differently? And I wouldn't look at their longevity, what their seniority is, but really it's called a competitive scan. What sets them apart? Because it could be that they simply just don't follow up in a way that's like, I got this, I got this, I got this. So the more you can observe replay what you did, and then ask questions, become inquisitive so that you can learn as you grow. Business is about letting go of certain things that we do and building on to what's working. And not everyone's going to be a fit for us for some reason or the other. Really ask yourself, were they really my client? If it
Mhm.
was a good conversation, but you saw the red flags, pay attention to the red flags because it's also, we know what we want, but it's important to know who you don't want to work with. Who is
Mhm.
challenging for you? What is more difficult? Where are you going to have to put in more energy with someone when you can be working with two other people instead?
I
So
love that. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, a lot of the times we want to work with every client that comes across our desk, and not every client is for us. And I think it is okay to, not work with everyone and perhaps refer that person to somebody else who might fit better in terms of personality, even. It might not even be the skill set. So that's really poignant of you to say that. So, how can someone prevent objections before they even come up? I mean, is there such a thing? Can we like foresee when objections are gonna strike us?
Well, one, ask your peers. What are the objections that you're getting? What are the things that people are saying that are keeping them from working with you or from working with an agent? Because there are a lot of things that buyers and sellers preconceived notion about the process that they come in with. They come in with their walls, right? They're like, oh,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. So being able to say, I'm sure that you've heard this. Let me dispel this myth for you. Also, it's about asking the right questions. Have
Mhm.
you already worked with other agents in the past? What's kept you from working with them? What are the things, like, in other words, who hurt you? Make sure
Yeah, right.
who hurt you? Why are you afraid? So that when you're having conversations with them, you can address that. This is why we do this. And when this happens, this is what I do for my clients. And this is where you get to really show your expertise. Like, this is how I show up. I'm going to advocate for you, or I'm going to, so that these things don't happen. So if you go in already knowing that they're going to have specific objections, signing the buyer's contract or address it ahead of time and bring value to it as you're addressing it. This is for you. This is why we do this. And this is what I am going to give to you because of it.
Mhm.
So you're coming from the place of value.
What about I know another objection that comes up quite often is when somebody wants to discount, or ask for discounts on their commissions or, their fee structures or whatever. How can one um, bring value to the conversation where that topic doesn't even come up? Because I know that there's certain clients I talk to where all they care about is interest rates, and no matter how wonderful I am, they're gonna go and they're gonna choose the cheapest person, on the block, no matter what I offer of value.
So that
So
is going to happen, and that is not your client. So first of all, let's just, and the other thing is letting them know what that gets them. You are more than welcome to go with a lower interest rate. Let me show you what the difference is and what you're going to get with that lower interest rate versus this. Newer agents, they're hungry. They might be more willing to do a lower rate, but that's because are they going to check the boxes for you? So I'm
Mhm.
not going to lower my commission and I'm going to tell you why, because this is what you're going to get from me. So you're always
Mhm.
speaking from value and it takes away it's like you get what you pay for and being able to
Mhm.
speak to that. And number one, you want to posture up. Be
Mhm.
confident, know why, so that when the question comes up, you don't shrink. You're able to posture up and be like, oh, let me tell you. Show them that you are the expert.
Mhm. I love that. What about what's the difference between a real objection and just having lack of trust?
So, having lack of trust means that maybe they didn't get all the information they needed. That no might not be NO, it might be KNOW. Like they don't know what they don't know. So being able
Mm.
to was there something that you're still thinking about? Do you still have questions about something? Understanding why that rejection is happening is what's most valuable to you.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I love that. I don't know, anything else that you want to add? I know that there's a few things you mentioned that you want to talk about the verbal business card. Is that something that you implement in your coaching strategy? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so your verbal business card is another way of saying your profitable introduction, how you introduce yourself. And what I find most people do is there's either a script and it's the
Mhm.
same script that everybody's using, or it's I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this, and do you want to work with me? Instead of, know where your zone of genius is. Know what sets you apart. What is the thing that makes people work with you? What is the biggest pain that you're solving? So your verbal business card really should be who you work with, the solutions you provide, what is the pain you're addressing and the solution that you provide. That's it. So it's really
Mhm.
what do they need to know and giving them the opportunity to think, oh, I do have that pain. I would like to know more about that. So you don't want to give them everything. You want to give them just enough to know that they really want to talk to you.
And what do you think is like a good amount of like seconds that somebody should practice at least in front of the mirror of how long does this message need to be and
You
not
know,
exceed, I guess, right?
Yeah, so if you're using it in written form, like in your outreach, emails and whatever, 2 to 3 lines, 2 to 3
Mhm.
sentences. 30 seconds is ideal because when you're at a networking event or you're out meeting people, because it's just enough for them to know you know your stuff and you know who you work with. And again, the lean in factor, tell me more. You want them to say, huh, that's interesting. I might be able to use you, or I know someone who can. Let them ask you more questions. Don't give them everything.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't have anything further. Do we have anything in the audience members? Because I think, is anybody else have any specific questions as it pertains to objections? You can drop it in, I believe, in chat. If you have anything, I don't see anything currently, so we have a few people joining us. But Rita, tell me about your, what else you offer. So outside of this call, what business coaching opportunities do you offer, and what does that look like for somebody who wants to maybe explore a call with you further on how to make their business better or the systemize their day or whatever it is that they're lacking in their approach?
Yes. I'm a business systems and organizational growth architect, which means I really work with business owners to create their simple systems, that foundation. Because as you grow, you should not be doing all the stuff. You are going to want to be able to have a team member that you can delegate tasks off to. So being able to create those daily tasks, helping my clients understand how to work through that to-do list without being overwhelmed and getting into the overflow. I use a heavy hand of accountability to also help people understand where their challenges are. A lot of
Mhm.
a lot of times we won't do things not because we don't have time. We tell
Mhm.
ourselves we don't have time because we have a mental roadblock against it. We don't want to, we don't like it. So helping people really look at where they're dropping the ball to figure out how to get the outcome that they're looking for without maybe having to do that task. Like really
Mhm.
getting
Mhm.
into like what makes you tick? How do we get you to get that outcome? And working smarter, not harder. So if you are doing a ton of activities and you're not getting anywhere, are you even focusing on the right activities?
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, is there a website or an email address they can, connect with you directly to chat
Yes.
further about the specifics of their business?
Yes. Anastasia just dropped the link to schedule a call with me. You can find me on LinkedIn. Uh, my website is Tiny But Mighty Coaching, and there's information there. And anybody that's on this call and has questions, feel free to email me as well at Rina at Tiny But Mighty Coaching. I'm always happy to answer questions and point you in the right direction. I really do think that working on your marketing system, being able to speak clearly about what makes you different, why you, and in real estate, it's really about not being generic, being very clear about who you work best with and how in that
Yeah,
moment.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true. And I think that's what from the beginning that I got into this industry, I cloned myself to be not clone myself, but I coined myself to be the your loan queen, and that stuck with me. And that became my brand. And so I applaud everybody who's a realtor to really dig deep about their marketing strategy and their specific niche. It doesn't even have to, you don't have to reject other clients who come in and say, I don't fit that niche or that profile, but at least you're branded and you're recognizable and you're memorable as a result of that branding that, you give yourself.
Yeah, and really quickly, when you niche for now, it's just for now. It doesn't mean you can't work with everybody. It is solely for your marketing and purposes, and so that you are showing up in the industry.
Yeah, most definitely. I love that. Yeah, that's a good point. The niche doesn't have to be something that you're stuck with. You can
No.
change your niche literally quarterly or annually as reevaluate your goals. This year, I'm spending more time and focus on business owners. So a lot of my social media marketing is going to be targeting business owners and how the different loan products that exist. And so anybody who is a realtor can do the same with whatever niche type of client they want to attract this quarter or this year.
And because you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, if they like the way you work and they like what you're saying and they're not in your niche, they're still going to reach out to you because they want to work with you. It should not be the thing that keeps people from reaching out to you.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you for your time, Rena. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
And if anybody has any questions for myself or Rena, you know how to get a hold of us. I'm Anastasia Bonholzer. I'm with AMS Mortgage Services, and we love doing these types of introductions and talks. And so, if there's another topic that you have in mind that we can collaborate on, please let us know. And until next time, thank you.
Thank you.